Yeah, okay. No, I think we are fine. Okay, I will put a message in the chat for us.
It seems that we are live, Robin.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, okay. Mic check. Mic check. Nicholas, can you hear me?
Ah, better, better. Yes, I hear you.
Okay,
I think we're good.
okay. Then we will start. Should we start, Nicholas?
I think Radhika told us that we will start when we say go, so maybe we can say
Okay,
go.
okay,
Your show.
okay. Then we go. Okay. First of all, a warm welcome to all the humans of testing and humans beyond testing. This is episode 4 of our series, the Humans of Testing webinar on LinkedIn and other platforms. Today's topic is something close to our hearts, the state of open source in the Salesforce ecosystem, where we are today and what's coming next in 2026. We'll cover current trends, top tools, open source repos, demos, and also explore what lies ahead in 2026 and beyond for us. Let's get going. Okay, and as you can see, we are in our special headgear once a year. Merry Christmas to all who joined us, and thank you, Nicholas, for the lovely dress wear.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that. Merry Christmas to all. But let's jump right into it as we bring in the gifts of open source. So, here's the small agenda for us. Simple and straightforward. We'll do introductions. We'll look at the classical development process, but from an angle of open source. We'll cover the three core bodies. As we know, there are more bodies in an engineering team, but we'll focus on dev, testing, DevOps. We'll also look at the future of engineering from the lens of open source, evals, agent builders, models. We look at the community voices, and then we can also answer some questions. Okay, that being said, introductions. So I am no stranger to our viewers. My name is Robin. I'm the co-founder and CEO at TestZeus, open source contributor to projects like Selenium, international speaker at events like Dreamforce, and the author of Ultimate Selenium WebDriver for test automation. We build AI agents for Salesforce testing and automation using natural language. Anybody can just upload the requirements, create test cases, and run them. You'll see a small glimpse of that today, but not the product from an open source angle. That's about me, but I'm really excited to have Nicholas, not a stranger at all. Nicholas, over to you for your introduction, please.
Okay, so first, thank you very much for your invitation, Robin. My name is Nicolas Vuillamy, and aside of my CTO activities at Cloudity France, I also authored different open source tools, and I love to use many open source tools, including some for testing, mostly in my past. So I was really glad when you offered me to participate to this webinar because we know each other for a while now. When I saw the beginning of TestZeus, what we were building, I wanted a demo, and you made a very nice demo. And sadly, meanwhile, I didn't have the time to find clients, but I still think that we can do something together some of these days. But seeing a tool which is open source and really changing the pattern to do tests with AI, it's a topic I cannot not be interested into. So I am a future fan of your solution. Once I will have tested it myself, of course.
Awesome.
But
Thank you so
basically, I
much.
really like what you do, guys. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Okay, cool. So let's jump right into it. Thanks for the introduction and super respect for Nicholas for contributing back to open source. Um, and that is why we are here today. So we'll try to keep the slides as practical as possible. To understand the state of open source in Salesforce, we actually went to the home of open source, GitHub. And I have just typed Salesforce in the search bar, and there are a couple of key insights you can see. There are 96,000 plus repositories who track with the word Salesforce. 1.5 million files or lines of code, 67,000 issues, 1,000 discussions, and 11,000 users who are tracked with that term. So that just one makes me surprised that wow, while you feel that Salesforce is a closed ecosystem, there are 96,000 repositories on GitHub in or around Salesforce. So first was surprise, and second was happiness. I am a fairly new entry to the Salesforce ecosystem as compared to our esteemed guest over here. But I didn't realize that Salesforce would also have such a nice and warm open source ecosystem. Nicholas, what do you say about that?
So yes, indeed, the Salesforce ecosystem is very rich in open source, and is also encouraged by Salesforce for multiple reasons, I think. But first, like you said, they don't want to appear like a closed ecosystem, so they want to also contribute to open source tools, and many people share also what they do. Even I think all of you know Salesforce Labs. Salesforce Labs, it's all open source too. And the difference between, let's say, the Salesforce product, the platform, and open source is that, for example, with Salesforce Labs, if you post a case, you say, "Oh, this thing on Salesforce Labs doesn't work," they will say, "Not our problem," because it's an open source. So it also provides a way to the mothership to delegate a part of their work, because when in their things there are bugs, we can go solve them
Yeah.
because it is open source. So it is also it's transparent, but it's also a way to open the community to contribute directly to their many tools, and also to create tools who are totally not backed by Salesforce, but used everywhere, like some of those we will discuss a little bit later.
Yeah, 100% Nicholas. That also brings me to an interesting point, top of the discussion. I am aware of this entity, non-profit Salesforce products or non-profit products for the cloud. Tell me more about it.
Famous NPSP. Yep.
Exactly. I was refraining and I was trying to bring that word out. But
NPSP,
yeah,
so I have not implemented it myself.
okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, no, go on, please.
Sorry, I didn't. There was a internet issue. So you wanted to me to talk about NPSP, right?
Yes.
So trying on the chat, internal chat, to talk about internet issues. Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
Sorry, because there is a why I didn't hear you. So yes, so you wanted me to, okay, NPSP. So it is a product built by Salesforce, but which has been open source, so to open the community to contribute on it. And what is also great about NPSP is that Salesforce built a tool named Cumulus CI, which is kind of the ancestor of open source DevOps tools, which is a great tool made in Python. And but it is made to handle very complicated cases, in my opinion, because NPSP, it's a lot of packages. So yes, Salesforce made one of the first Salesforce DevOps tools to handle NPSP, and all of that in open source.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for shedding light on that topic. Let's keep moving along.
You're welcome.
So, interestingly, Salesforce itself runs on free and open source software, as we can see over here. Various parts of that stack, like the core runtime uses OpenJDK, The data messaging layer leverages Postgre, Redis, or Kafka. The web UI uses something called the LWC. Very interestingly, the LWC itself is based on open standards such as ECMA or JavaScript standards. The DevOps tooling Nicholas brought up, very interestingly, NPSP and Cumulus CI. And then there are many other packages which Salesforce has open sourced. So while it looks like dollars on the surface, thanks to the mothership at Salesforce, there is a nice, very interesting ecosystem of open source packages which Salesforce uses and promotes, not just within the Salesforce ecosystem. I was surprised to know that they also contribute to other projects outside Salesforce. Selenium is one of them, Apache Phoenix is another one. Do you know any others, Nicholas, where Salesforce contributes outside the Salesforce ecosystem?
But for example, we all know about Agentforce,
Yeah.
and the new tool Agentforce Vibes, which is one of their big announcements of last Dreamforce. It is simply a fork of an open source tool which is named Klein and which is already very used in the general tech ecosystem. And I asked people who handle Agentforce Vibes if they contribute back to Klein, and they told, of course, yes, because that's kind of the game with open source. You benefit from something already existing and often free, and it works much better when you contribute back. So you help improve the base tools that you are forking.
Yeah.
So it is an example, but there are many others. There is home tools of Salesforce like LWC. LWC is full open source. And then there is also tools who are half supported by Salesforce, like Salesforce Labs. For example, there is OrgCheck, who is kind of the replacement of Salesforce Optimizer. OrgCheck, it was first a personal project from an employee of Salesforce, but now it is that good. So hello Vincent, if you are listening to us, that it is pushed as an almost official tool. So yes, Salesforce contributes a lot in different tools.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that insight, Nicholas. I'd almost forgotten about Agent Force vibes, but let's keep on moving. A lot of times when we look at technical solutions, there are packages and such. We have a friend, Mr. Cartman, saying that there is always an open source alternative to a paid product. If you want to get your hands dirty in code, you want to hack around, you'll most probably find an alternative. So, for example, there are a lot of open source dev tools. The glacier is very deep below the surface. Thanks to a report from Salesforce, Ben, I was surprised to know that 31% people in the Salesforce developer ecosystem still use Workbench while it is being discouraged. I'll be very candid, even I use it once in a while. It's just easy, and I've been trained to use it, so it's a habit. Um,
No, you shouldn't.
Now I will stop using from
You know
today.
that it is not
Promise.
maintained for, I think, 4 years.
Exactly.
So probably security issues.
Yeah. I do
Never
have a slide
use
on
an open source
security.
package which is not maintained for years.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Correct, Nicholas. So that is one. Salesforce Inspector Reloaded is one of the most popular packages. That is the other one which I use. Do you use that, Nicholas? Do you use Salesforce Inspector Reloaded or similar?
Of course, but I think we it will be even difficult to find people who do not use Salesforce Inspector Reloaded, as this is kind of a standard. And why Reloaded? Because the previous version, Salesforce Inspector, was also a standard, but was kind of, the original author didn't have the time to maintain it anymore. So it became a little bit like Workbench, not maintained anymore. And so people wanted enhancement, fixes, and it was not moving. And a young person wrote to me one day, his name is Thomas Prouveau, and he told me,
Mm-hmm.
Nico, how does it work to fork an open source package? And I said,
Mm-hmm.
just ask on the main repo, is it still maintained? If it's not, are you okay that I fork the tool and maintain it? And that's what he did. So he did it very politely. Uh, and that's how he created Reloaded. And since there has been numerous contributions for many people from him, but also for many people all around the world that make, I don't know, field usage, many, and I think he make releases every maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months, but every time there is a bunch of new features. And
Yeah.
it is great to have these tools that we can use directly from the browser. Me, I am more about tools with
Yeah.
CLI and VS Code. And I think really both are complementary because the requirements you fit with them are usually often different.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the fact that that is how such great open source journeys begin. That somebody can just ask, and open source being very welcoming, like, yeah, welcome. Why don't you help us out in the community? So love that story about Salesforce Inspector Reloaded. Moving along, testing got a boot up
Yeah.
as well. So we launched the world's first open source testing engine. Interesting, that is how me and Nicholas and Shriyansh met last year. Now, I do have a small demo that we can see. Both Nicholas and I are from engineering background, so more than slides, we are comfortable with VS Code. So over here, I have written a small feature file. As you can see, it's all natural language. Even a non-technical person can write it. You just have to install the Hercules package, which you will find on GitHub as testuse-hercules. Run a small command, and what our agent will do is it will take it, parse it, create a plan, launch the browser, and start the execution. So it has started the execution on my other screen, but it will shortly try to log in to the Salesforce instance and try to execute the test case end to end. All of this obviously is open source. As I said initially, if you want to hack around, try a multi-agentic system for Salesforce test automation, you can definitely give this a shot. You can find it as testuse-hercules on GitHub. But testing is not the only thing which got a boot up. We have one of our favorite repositories which also got a leg up. So DevOps. What about DevOps, Nicholas? How can people use open source systems to level up their game in DevOps in the Salesforce ecosystem?
Mm. But as you made a little demo, I am jealous. So maybe I will want to do a little one too, if you agree. Uh, and
Okay.
our magic fairy in the background. Oh, well done, Radhika. So I think everyone sees my screen. So here is an example of SFDX and I could make demos who last hours and hours. So this is not the topic of today. I can just quickly show the DevOps pipeline that allows to do a state of, and it is exactly when I click that it does nothing. Perfect.
Classical
So,
demo. Yeah. Okay.
it's yeah, classic demo. It works 100 times on 100, and the day you are in a demo, it as well fails. But a demo is not really a demo if there is nothing failing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
here is, for example, a DevOps pipeline. So it is similar than what people can see in paid vendor tools like Copado, Gearset, etc. Big difference. It's open source. It's free. That's why it has some success. And we can, for example, here on a single screen all the pull requests who are user stories. We can see which user stories has already been merged in at a level. So, for example, if we click on UAT, we can see that a lot of merge requests has already been merged. We can also see the list of Jira tickets because it's very important to link your DevOps activity to your ticketing activity. So we can see that we directly connect to Jira to get from the identifier to get the topic, to get the status, to get the assignment. And in beta, we can also configure pre and post deployment actions like running a command line, like running some Apex to make assignments, and
Mhm.
some things we have not. But today, if I want to add a manual action, I know that I can run a command line, and I don't know. Is this possible with Testezus to call the testing of your tool directly from a command line, or maybe via an API call?
Yeah, 100% Nicholas. It is definitely possible that you can have a small CLI installed and you can just call it through maybe SFDX hard disk. Maybe somebody should pick it up. What do you say?
Okay, so perfect because today we have native integrations with Jira, with GitHub, with GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. And open source, it's free, is open to everyone. So if tomorrow you or someone of your team create a test Zeus connector on SFDX hard that will run automated AI-based tests just after merging pull request, I will be very glad to accept it because that's really how open source works. The more capabilities people will bring, the more powerful the tool will be for everyone. So really, if you are interested to add a connector for TestZeus, I will be happy. And if we have people from your competitors listening to, you can also bring your connectors. There is no, this is open source, so why the thing works and is maintained, uh, adding new features, it's always a great thing. And I will quickly finish my demo to show one of my
Yeah.
recent additions, which is a metadata retriever. So maybe some of you know Org Browser, so the default Salesforce uh, application extension to get metadatas, but usually people when they use it, they are not happy, it's boring, it's not UX, etc. Here on a single screen, you can get we can find in all the recent changes, we can filter by name, by data, by type, even metadatas who are not updated directly, we can browse them, we can get in different orgs. So we have even for projects who are not used for DevOps, anyone can use this screen as a replacement
Hmm.
of our browser, which is between us a little bit sad because it took me 3 days to create that, and there is 3 years there is our browser. So what is also great with open source in what you
Hmm.
do, in what I do, in what everyone does, is when the mothership that we all love is a
Yeah.
little bit slow on providing features that we need. So let's implement them ourselves
Yeah.
and allow to the whole community to benefit from it.
Yeah.
So,
100% Nicholas. While
so if
you presented
any
that,
of you listeners have ideas about how to
yeah.
enhance, yeah, sorry,
Yeah, no, go on. I would also encourage the
please.
listeners. Please go on. Okay. Can you hear us okay, Nicholas? Okay.
Not that much. It's
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
can
No
smile
problem.
and look like I hear, so our dear viewers don't see there is an internet issue.
Awesome. Yeah, we will assume there is no internet issue. We'll keep on moving
Uh,
forward. Thank you for that candor, Nicholas. Okay. Moving further in our presentation. So we
please,
covered development.
please go on,
Yeah.
Robin, on the
Yeah.
next topic.
Okay. We covered testing, we covered DevOps, we covered development. But we also ran a small, fun behind the curtains kind of a survey with the community. So I actually posted a question on Reddit, like what are the top open source repositories people use. So what I did, I just went in and on my profile just asked this question. So what are the top open source softwares that you use in the Salesforce ecosystem? 39 comments later, and shout outs to LWC Signals, unofficial SF data table, Nebula Logger, Jetstream. I think in LinkedIn comments also somebody mentioned Jetstream, SFDO Community Sprints, DLRS, Trigger Actions Framework, and Mitch Spano contributions, Salesforce Inspector and Reloaded, SFDX Hardest, Maven Tools, SFDMU, Git Delta, Metadata Trigger Framework, AWAF.dev from Pablo. You should try Happy Soup if people haven't seen that. AI Agent
Yeah, they are
Studio.
indeed
Yeah,
the
yeah,
most famous
very
tools.
famous. Yeah. Um, and then a few others
It
have
depends
been.
because sometimes with open source,
Yes.
I think I hear you late, uh,
Yeah, please go on. No, please tell me.
and I don't hear you anymore. Wait, I will call back the Father Christmas to bring back the internet connection. Okay, so I was saying, so many people will promote a lot of tools, and that's great. Anyone can create his tools and maintain it, etc. But but also when someone has an idea, before creating a new Chrome extension, a new plugin, a new blah blah blah, think about maybe the features that I would like to add would fit in an existing project. So I'm not saying we do not have to create new projects, but before starting to create a project, I think people should think maybe it would have its place in an existing project, non-mandatory one of mine. That's okay,
Hmm.
but also there is creating a project and there is promoting it and maintaining it, and it takes much more effort than just creating a project. So I think it is in. For example, every 2 days I see someone on LinkedIn. Oh, I created a new Chrome extension. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put your feature in Salesforce Inspector or in the others? Because we don't want to, nobody wants to install 20 extensions for security reasons, for performance reasons. So I think it is important to try to really group the general effort, maybe in a few tools, instead of creating hundreds of tools. And when there is too many tools, it is easier for fake tools to be hidden in them. And then someone with not a lot of experience install on Chrome an extension with a virus, then connects to a Salesforce production org with it, and the day after, all the account list of his client is for sale on the dark web. So really, people should really think before installing an open source tool. Do they trust the author? Uh,
Yeah, I think that's a very
it was
important point, Nicholas.
my
You mentioned.
open source grandpa speaking.
I like it, open source grandpa. But very interestingly, maintaining an open source system is much more complicated than building it out. So I would 1000% agree to Nicholas that before launching, look out for a solution. If it doesn't solve your purpose, maybe launch a new thing. See if you can contribute back to the existing ones. But that's a great point. Love that. And also, then moving further, let's look at the future of engineering. AIs, agents, evals, and models from an open source angle. So first and foremost, it wouldn't be the section around AI if the slides were not generated by AI. So I made this slide in one shot using Notebook LM, which is an AI solution from Google. But it very nicely presents that based on the open ecosystem and a trusted foundation, you can actually build the pillars of unified intelligence for any agentic enterprise. You can use open source systems from GitHub, from systems like SFDX Hardys or TestUse, and build your own agentic enterprise in one place under one umbrella. But as we said, this is not about slides and presentation, it's about knowledge which you can use tomorrow. So, first and foremost, if you try to visualize a stack of open source AI systems, at the bottom layer, there are models and data sets. Very interestingly, what we did with GitHub, we did with Hugging Face. So you can just go to Hugging Face and searched for models and datasets from Salesforce. Again, I was surprised when I saw that Salesforce's models, for example, Blip image, has been downloaded 1.98 million times. Their dataset, like Wikitext, has been downloaded 957K times. So if you go to Hugging Face, you'll just find all of this lying there, all of this gold lying over there, all made open source by Salesforce themselves. But to Nicholas's earlier point, be mindful of what you pick and what you choose. Similarly, Salesforce has also open sourced the evals, the CRM arena. Yeah, Nicholas, you had a note. Tell me.
Um, Still internet issues on my side, but I,
Yeah,
uh, I share your opinion about the things that Salesforce can bring to AI, especially the comparator. So it's a nice thing. Let's
yeah.
hope that Salesforce AI will be as efficient soon.
Yeah, definitely. And then there are open source agent builders as well. I found two which came up on my radar. One is My Org Butler. So you can just chat and it will build a dynamic kind of a UI. It leverages OpenAI Assistant API, implements the React pattern with an Auto GPT agent. The other one that I found on Reddit was Salesforce AI Agent Framework. This is fairly new. Very interestingly, when you are using open source systems, you must look at their license type. So, for example, the Salesforce AI Agent Framework actually tells you that in the repository what parts are open source and what parts are closed source. Nicholas, any notes for us when people are trying to use open source systems? What are the kinds of licenses that they should look for?
I am sorry, I understand a quarter of the question, so it's very hard for me. Can you write me the question on the private chat?
Yeah.
I think we are engineers, so when there is problems, we find alternatives. Okay, thank you, Radhika. So about the kind of
Okay.
licenses people should look for. So so there are many licenses in open source. So basically, if it is MIT, you can do whatever you want with it, even sell it if you want.
Okay.
And there are other less permissive licenses, like, for example, if you use GPL open source tool, which SFDXR this is, by the way, and also Megalinter, you can reuse
Mhm.
them, but if you embed them in another tool, you are forced to publish the sources of this tool. So basically, you can use an open source repository which has a GPL or AGPL license only if what you build with it is also open source. That's what
Mm.
prevents sharks like Amazon and others to take the free work of people and make a bunch of money from it. But
Very,
it is
very,
the
very
two big
interesting.
families of open source licenses. And there are even lawyers who know about open source licenses, but I just know the basics. But basically, MIT, you do whatever you want. GPL, if you want to build something with it, not just use it, but build something and sell something with it, you have to make it open source too.
Okay, got it, Nicholas.
That's
Thanks
why,
for
for
that.
example, paid DevOps vendors cannot use SFDXRDis in their tool because they are closed source programs.
Yeah, I love that notion that it is really free and open source. And using these licenses, we can enforce that they are actually used for good purposes and not nefarious purposes as well. Thanks for that answer, Nicholas. Moving along, there is one very important slide which you wanted
You're
to
welcome.
underscore. So, last but not the least, security. So, here we have Einstein walking towards a prompt mine. With these new AI systems in place, it becomes really essential to not just contribute to open source, but when you're using packages from open source, thanks to AI, your risk area is multiplied multifold. So that is where, to Nicholas's earlier point, you should be very cautious when you're using new open source systems that they are trustworthy. And suddenly, whether it's an AI or not
Mm.
an AI system, you're not walking into a landmine. Nicholas, what would you think about security in the landscape of open source systems?
So about the security, a lot of CISOs, people responsible of the security in a company, when they hear open source, they're kind of scared. But what makes a tool dangerous or not is not is it open source or not. It is how it is secured and handled. So if an open source project is actively maintained, if there are security scanners regularly run on the sources, on the executables, if there is a strong CI/CD, if there is MFA every time you want to make a new release, it is as safe as a closed source tool, because anyway, I'm not sure we can talk about closed source tools, because since there is tools like Cursor, GitHub Copilot, Cloud Code, etc. Anyway,
Mhm.
all our code, it all goes to servers in America with Donald Trump behind. So, so basically, once you use AI for coding, you have no guarantee that they all say that the code nobody sees it, blah 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 blah. We heard it before, but anyway, all code should be considered as public and secured as much as if it was public. So again, it's all about trust. Do you trust a company who sell a closed proprietary tool? Do you trust an individual or a group of individuals that maintain open source tools? Can they describe how
Mm.
they secure their tooling, their release management, etc.? And and if you trust these people, you can go. The zero risk doesn't exist, but we have recently seen with Salesforce that even with closed source tools, there are
Mm.
hacks too. So hacks can happen anywhere with any tool, but they will happen less often if the maintenance of the tools, open source or not, are as serious as possible.
Yeah, thank you for that note, Nicholas. I think that's a very reassuring statement, and also very interestingly, security is top of the mind for everybody in the Salesforce ecosystem. So, just adding on to Nicholas's answer, if you're using open source, you must check at the transitive dependencies of that open source platform as well. That is how the SolarWind hack happened due to transitive dependencies. So, people must be mindful of the packages that they're downloading, installing using npm or pip or whatever system you choose. Okay, that also brings us to the end of our presentation with some time at the end to look at the LinkedIn chatter. Thank you once again so much, Nicholas, for joining us. Thank you for everybody for joining us here and listening to us. We are also actively hiring. You can find us at that QR code. I'll quickly hop onto my LinkedIn chat and see um, if any questions, if any notes are there. Okay. So I do see that there are some notes. Andrew has highlighted there are actually two different non-profit options. NPSP is a legacy, which is open source, and the mothership is pushing more non-profits towards non-profit cloud, NPC, which is separate from NPSP and is an industry vertical product. Jetstream has been highlighted by Andrew. Then Mehdi says simple use SFDX Hardys. Roman has mentioned Nicholas fan club here, and lovely. Mehdi also mentioned it would be great if the tests are based on the tickets attached to the MR. I'm assuming that is for SFDX Hardys.
Okay, so
Cool.
I see we have a question from Maria. I don't know who is this person. Hello, Masha.
Yes.
So how to contribute to open source if not coding? By reporting bugs, by testing, by providing feedback, by making posts about open source tools. So even if you are not coding, which is not your case because I know you are a technical lead, you can anyone can contribute with his own ways um, to open source. So just create a GitHub account, give us a lot of stars. We all love GitHub stars, and start to see. And usually, when you don't know, contact the contributors and the maintainers. They will be happy to tell you how you can help, because any help that you will provide is more sleep for them, or to spend time with their guinea pig, their girlfriend. So basically, contact people. They will always tell you ways to help.
Yep.
And
That's
I
a
see
lovely
earlier that
point.
there was thing about Jetstream. I heard about. Yeah.
Yeah, go
I'm
on.
sorry, I hear you late. So,
Yeah.
so about Jetstream, I hear it is a good tool, but it is also I think not that free. It is free for some features, but otherwise it works with registrations and monthly payments. So I have heard good things about it, but I am not that sure it can be qualified as open source as there is a 3 tiers, and but uh, but I have heard good things about it. But I separate tools that you can fully use on open source, um, or things that are, for example, Jetstream. If you don't pay, you cannot run it locally on your computer. Uh, so, uh, so this is more a
Okay.
freemium than an open source. What are the top open source tools I use? I use SFDX Git Delta by Sébastien Colladon. I use SFDMU, which is like a data loader but with Salesforce key plugin. Of course, I use Salesforce Inspector. I use VS Code. Visual Studio Code himself is open source. I
Mhm.
use Apex Log Analyzer. I use PMD by Robert Sussman. I use what else do I use? I use a Nebula Logger, which is a very good tool to handle logs in Salesforce by Jonathan Gillespie. I
Mhm.
use Happy Soup by Pablo Gonzalez to see the dependencies in your orgs. There are many tools, and all those I have quoted. I know their authors because we speak to each other, and you can have my word that these are secured and trustable tools.
Awesome. Um,
And I think the next question is for both of us. But I think if we work together, we can make it happen.
yeah, definitely, Nicholas. I think that is a feature which is on our SaaS product. But now that I'm seeing that community demand, definitely we can pick it up. Maybe it's a thing which people can raise a PR for. More than happy to review and merge it back. But yeah, thank you so much for that question. We are also almost on time, so we'll end our session here. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Okay, just
I,
one last thing. Maria says, what
I
about
see
Mega
we have a
Linter?
last question. Uh,
Yeah, go on, tell me. Yeah.
uh, this Maria has a lot of questions. Um, so what about Megalinter? It is a tool that allows to make static analysis tools, static analysis tools and security tools. So it will embed, for example, Salesforce Code Analyzer, which is again an open source tool maintained by Salesforce, which embed PMD for Apex. So as you can see, Megalinter open source, embeds Code Analyzer open source, which embeds PMD for Apex open source, and also embeds ESLint for LWC. And I'll let you guess what is ESLint. Open source, of course. So for those who like Legos, open source is like that. It's not independent and stuff. It's usually an assembly of great tools that you put together to make even more great things. And I think Megalinter is one of them. I hope.
Okay, super awesome. Thanks for that explanation, Nicholas. I think it's a great point to end the discussion that open source is like Lego blocks, which itself is made up of Lego blocks. So it's like Minecraft, but lovely. Thank you so much for the audience for these questions and discussion. Thank you once again, Nicholas, for bringing these great insights and points. We will end the discussion here. Bye to folks over here. Have a great Christmas as we celebrate and a happy new year in advance. We'll catch you guys in the new year. Thank you once again, Nicholas.
Happy New Year and be nice people, and you will have a lot of gifts next year from Father Christmas open source. Ho, ho, ho,
Thank you
ho.
so much.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.